This is Mike O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Deputy Aviation Director at Phoenix Sky Harbor for Operations. Today we're going to be talking about our taxicab services revenue contract solicitation. First of all, I want a little background on Sky Harbor. We have, last year we surpassed 53 million passengers outbound. That's 53 million passengers total. That's a huge jump. The biggest year that we had previously was just under 50 million in 2019. The taxicab companies are an integral and vital part of that operation. Our customers want the transparency and the predictability of the taxicabs. They want to continue with that. So we very much appreciate the work that our taxicab companies do, and this contract coming up is a big part of that. The team will walk you through everything that has to do with the upcoming solicitation, and we appreciate everyone being here today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Morato and the team up here to take it from here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike, and thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over some housekeeping matters so that we can have the meeting go as smoothly as possible. So today's event is hybrid, so we have several of you here in person, but people are also online via WebEx. So for those of you online, your devices have been automatically muted. If at any point during today's presentations you have any questions, you can drop those in the chat feature, and we will have time at the end to do questions here in person and read those that have been submitted online as well. Also, today's presentation, video recording, and the attendee list will be posted on our outreach website, and you can see the QR code there for where it will be posted. Give us about 48 to 72 business hours, and you can find it there, and we will be notifying everyone in attendance once that information is available. And also keep in mind that all the information shared today is subject to change until the RCS is officially released. And so with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Kelly Scully, our Superintendent of Ground Transportations in our Operation Division.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start with a brief overview of today's agenda, and then we'll move directly into the content. So we're going to talk a little bit first about the background of the current taxi contracts. We're going to take a look at the goals and the requirements of all the priorities that we have defined, including the fleet, the service operators requirements, and the vehicle specifications. Then I'll discuss the solicitation criteria, including the contract terms and the anticipated timeline. Once I get through all of these details, then I'll go ahead and pass it back to Sarah and to Jana Evans, who will walk us through the outreach and small business verification processes. From there, we'll wrap it up with the Q&A session or any comments that you might have. So let's get started. So a little bit of a background. Today, our airport currently consists of 3 contracted providers. They include MGM, which is formerly known as AAA/Yellow Cab, Mayflower Taxi, and VIP Taxi. The current contract expiration is April 30th, 2026. So as far as the volume trends, I kind of wanted to have you take a look at this here. The slide in the front of you on the left-hand side, your left-hand side, shows the impact this competitive industry has had on the volume of trips that our taxis conduct each year. If you'll notice, the drop is other services such as transportation network companies came online in 2016, 2017, and then the pandemic hit everyone hard. And from that graph, or this graph, you can see that the impact it had on our taxi companies. While they have seen a rebound from the pandemic, they continue to see a little bit lower volumes than in 2019. Taxicabs have been an important service at our airport for many years, and the predictable and consistent product is valuable to our customers. The 2 charts on the right hand show the market share impact to the taxicabs from 2017 and 2024, compared to 2024. While the market share has continued to drop, there is a demand for the service and transparent nature of taxis. Many visitors still desire the walk-up services, the familiar vehicle, and the predictable pricing of taxicabs. With that, we're going to talk a little bit about the goals and priorities we have defined for this contract, which include quality of service, sustainability, small business participation, enhanced ADA accessibility, and new technologies, all of which we'll get into further in the details of the next slides. So when we talk about the service requirements, we are requesting to issue a contract solicitation that will include 2 large and 2 small companies. The experience requirements for a large company are 3 years of airport experience with the general manager that has experience managing larger fleets and 24/7 wheelchair accessible vehicle coverage. The smaller company needs slightly less time in the airport environment and a smaller fleet experience from their general manager. Both must have the financial ability to perform. Please keep in mind that a consortium of drivers with experienced leadership would meet these criteria. So with the fleet size requirements, we currently have a total of 165 vehicles on the airport currently between the 3 companies. We are proposing to increase that to a 200-car base assigned in the fleet over the 2 large and the 2 small companies. This is to ensure we have a sufficient taxi cab service available during our peak times. We're also intending to increase the percentage of the 88 cabs from 5% to 10%. As far as the service operator requirements are concerned, we have the large company needs to have a franchisee owner-operator joint venture. The response guarantee is $10,000 and the performance guarantee is $50,000. For the small company, at least one company must be 100% franchisee or owner-operator. The response guarantee for the small company is $5,000 with a performance guarantee of $20,000. The vehicle requirements, what we require for the vehicles is that they'll all be mid-size or larger, and they must, must have an in-vehicle public safety monitoring system. At the beginning of the contract, there will be no vehicles older than 5 years, and no vehicle at any time during the contract term can be older than 8 years. At any time during the contract, if a vehicle reaches 8 years old or 400,000 miles, they will need to be replaced with a vehicle that has a maximum of 100,000 miles. Our ground transportation team inspects taxi cabs serving the airport every 6 months to ensure that we maintain a professional and safe fleet. Additionally, all vehicles must also have rear seat credit card terminals that utilize smartphone payment options, including Apple Pay, PayPal, and Google Wallet. Credit card fees will not be charged to the passengers and they will not be passed on to the drivers. Oh, I missed the slide. Okay, so sustainability requirements. Sustainability runs through the fabric of the airport, and we are encouraging all of our partners to think about how they can increase their sustainable footprint. We intend to have requirements within the solicitation that ensures our taxi cabs continue to increase the number of electric and hybrid vehicles. Our plan is to include tying increased electric vehicles to increased charging capacity on the airport complex that will be exclusively used by our commercial partners. Electric vehicles in this industry must have the ability to charge close to pickup points in order to be reliable for the longer drives. Okay, so we are in the process currently of recommending an increase for the taxi meter rates. Our taxi companies have been excellent partners and provide a very valuable service to our customers in a very competitive industry. All rates that taxi companies charge at the airport are governed by the Phoenix City Code 4-83. These rates have not changed in over a decade. They have not increased until now due to very minimal increases in CPI during the time leading up to the pandemic and even during the pandemic. The industry has also been in a state of change with new entrants into the ground transportation community. The rate structure that is recommended is to increase the rates as shown here to provide the taxi cab companies with competitive rates as compared with other airports and provide competitive incomes within the industry. The increase proposes the following. So currently the first mile is $5. We're looking to propose that it would be $7 for the first mile, $2.30 each additional mile to be increased to $2.60 for each additional mile. Currently, it's $23 for the traffic delay rate per hour. $36 traffic delay rate is the proposed. $15 is the minimum fare currently. We're proposing $18 minimum fare, and then the $17 downtown flat rate is current. We're looking to increase that to $20 flat rate fee. So we'll be asking the respondents for the following criteria. You need to have a business and operations plan, qualification and experience of the respondent, qualification and experience of your GM, a customer service plan, and a driver owner operator plan. In terms of the contract term is 5 years with 1 2-year extension and also requires a per trip fee. The trip fee for 2025 is currently $2.27 per trip. This fee is subject to change annually at the greater of CPI or 3% per city code. The anticipated timeline for this solicitation with approvals will result in Phoenix City Council for final approval in 2025 of June, with an issue date of June 2025, the pre-response meeting in July 2025, and submittals due in August 2025, with the contract to be awarded sometime in 2026. Final dates will be posted in the solicitation, and all solicitation dates are subject to change. So that concludes my portion of the presentation, and I will now turn the presentation back over to Sarah.
Thank you, Kelly. So you heard from me before. My name is Sarah Morado, and I'm the Small Business Engagement Manager here for the Aviation Department. In my role, I oversee our education and outreach initiatives and help coordinate events like this one today. I want to thank you all for attending today's meeting. If you missed any part of today's session, let me bring it back up. We will be posting that information. And also we will have a second session I forgot to mention. So today's meeting is right there. You have to see the check mark on it. But we have a second one on June 2nd from 9 to 10. It will be hosted hybrid just like this one today. So you're welcome to join us here in person at the aviation headquarters or online via WebEx. So be sure to tune into that. But if you do miss any of those, we will also be posting the information, like I said previously, to our website as well. I also did want to give you some resources about how to get signed up for our aviation interest list. So those of you interested to receive emails from us on any outreach we have coming up or any solicitations that are posted can email busstops.aviation@phoenix.gov. Please provide your company name, your email address, and then identify the interested business area. So for this one, it would be ground transportation. And that way, any events that we have or solicitations that post related to ground transportation, you'll get notifications on. And then there's 2 resource QR codes there. The first is the one that I've mentioned several times before, the aviation outreach website. That one will be where we'll post all of the information from today's session. But you can also see any of our upcoming events that we have planned, like the one I mentioned on June 6th. And then we also have the aviation business website posted there. So if you have any questions about doing business with any of our 3 airports, you can visit that website. That's information about security and badging, upcoming opportunities, career information, all sorts of different things that we have there. So please check it out. And now I'll turn it over to Jana Evans. Jana is our Equal Opportunity Specialist with the Equal Opportunity Department. She works closely with us on small business matters such as compliance, monitoring, and outreach. Jana is going to be going over our small business verification information that you need to know for this opportunity. So thank you, Jana.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon. My name is Jana Evans. I work for the City of Phoenix Equal Opportunity Department. As Ms. Sarah mentioned, we focus on the compliance side of verifying small businesses that participate here at the airport. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of talk to you. This solicitation is going to be for 2 large and 2 small companies. For the small business companies, for the small verification of those small businesses, I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that the city defines a small business as any business whose annual gross revenue or income averaged over the past 5 years does not exceed the Small Business Administration or the SBA's size standards as set forth in 13 CFR, which is Code of Federal Regulations, Part 121. I've included a link that you'll be able to access from the presentation online. Additionally, under that 13 CFR Part 121, the North American Industry Classification System, also known as the NAICS codes, that we will be checking the revenue data underneath is the code number 485310. Now, this is the code for taxi and ride-sharing services. There is a cap of $19 million in gross annual revenue. So again, we average that over 5 years, and if your company makes over that, you would not qualify as a small business. Anything up to that, you would qualify as a small business and would be eligible to participate under that small business cap. If you're above it, we would encourage you to then apply as the large business. Now, if you are already a certified small business firm with the City of Phoenix or through the U.S. Department of Transportation, you would not need to provide this verification. Okay, so if you're already certified, you don't need to provide this verification. If you are not certified, you will need to provide at the time of submission for the RCS, you would need to provide 5 years of your most recent federal tax returns, or if you're filing a Schedule C for sole proprietorship, you would need to file 5 years of your personal tax returns. This would show as your proof of your small business status at the time of submittal. I just want to point out that you do not have to be certified to be a small business, or you don't need to be certified as a small business to be verified as one. So again, you don't need the certification. You can be and will be verified if you submit the documentation that I've just mentioned. And all the verification of that small business status will be performed by the City of Phoenix Equal Opportunity Department. Thank you.
All right, and there is some contact information for those of us here and involved on the contract. You can reach out to us at any time. Again, these slides will be posted so you can refer to them on the website. And I know we went through that very quickly, so if you have any questions, this is your time now. If you've joined us virtually, please enter your questions in the chat box, and we will make sure those are read and that we can respond to those during the meeting. And if you're here, please raise your hand and we'll come around with a microphone and answer any questions as they come in. I don't think it's on, yeah. No, it's not coming through. Let's try a different mic and see if that one will work. Yeah, that's true. If that doesn't work, I'll just repeat it over. We want to make sure the folks online can also hear, so go ahead.
Of course. Testing? Okay.
There you go, perfect.
How many Waymos are currently operating in the airport?
I'll defer to our operations team here.
I'll take that one. We don't know the specific number of Waymos. They haven't released that publicly. We do know that they have 24-hour access to the airport now, but we don't have a firm number as to how many are operating. Yes, sir.
Are there going to be any, is there a limit of Waymos that's going to be operating in the airport?
The Waymos are under the same contract, the same permit and stipulations as any other TNC. So there isn't. They do have a limited number of fleet. So I don't know what that number is that they have a limit on, but yeah, I think I don't know that what their number is or how far they're going to go. If the question is, are they going to grow? I think that is their intent, but they're really focused on other cities as well as Phoenix.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question online. You mentioned that public safety monitoring is required. Could you please clarify what this entails?
Hi, thank you for your questions. This is Kelly from Ground Transportation. So yes, basically it's a safety monitoring system that shows the speed of the drivers. It may have some audio, which our current taxi companies currently have today. There's some video in there in those vehicles. So it's both for the safety of the driver and for the passenger as well.
Is this opportunity available to both rideshare and taxi companies? We operate under both models.
That's an excellent question. Rideshare, this contract itself is for a taxi cab services. So there is a differentiation between how taxis and TNCs operate. So this would be for taxi cab services.
All right, it looks like those are all the questions we have online. Are there any other questions here in person? This is your opportunity to ask questions of the staff. I know I already mentioned it before. We will have one more outreach meeting in June. And then after that, once the solicitation posts, we will have a pre-offer meeting, which you can attend and ask questions of that at that time. But it will be a much different format where you will interact with the procurement officer, and it will be a more formalized process because we will be under our transparency policy. So just keep that in mind. So right now is your time to ask any questions and speak to the subject matter experts or attend the June session, which will be covering the same content then as well. All right, well, oh, one more question over here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. There's two areas that I really like to find a little more details. And number one is the 85% of the new contract. What does that entail, that 85%? Are, for example, the E85, no, not E85, hybrid vehicles, are they out? Yeah, there it is, yeah. The minimum 85% hybrid or electric.
So it's going to be a combination of both. Thank you for your question, Omar. So it's going to be a combination of both. So you're going to have both hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles. We don't have the E85 in the,
Yeah, I
will not be
understand,
85
yeah.
anymore, correct? So it'll just be the hybrid and the electric.
So 85% will be the hybrid and 15% electric. Is that the idea?
Do you want to mention think about that?
So the 85% is designed to help to move us down this road with sustainability. So it would be 85% of hybrid and electric. We would like you to be at 100% if we can get there, but right now it's 85% with hybrid and electric. The other 15%, if those are E85, right? That
Right now
works.
they are, yeah.
Okay. Will the airport, for example, install a charging infrastructure here?
Yeah, our intent is to increase, or is to add charging capability. We wouldn't expect you to increase your fleet dramatically with EVs, with electric vehicles, until we get the infrastructure in place. And we want it to be designed specifically for commercial vehicles. It won't be a public, it'll be designed just, so it'll be at the C lot over on 24th.
So by the time the contract starts, we will have that infrastructure in place here at the airport, will we?
That's an excellent question. I would hope so. I can't make that promise, but it doesn't drive the number right off the bat. So in other words, when the contract starts, if we don't have charging in place, we don't have an expectation that you're going to increase the number of of electric vehicles.
Okay. Another question. Right now, we have 165 fleet. You're proposing 204 companies. How are you going to divide? What is the plan? How are you going to divide the number of cabs between those four companies?
So between the four companies, it's going to be 70/70 and 30/30. Did I get that right? 70/70? Yes, 70/70 for the large and then 30 each for the small.
I don't know. That will probably create a problem for the 30/30 ones because of the viability of the company to sustain. We had that same issue 7 years ago or 6 years ago. The number of vehicles that was allocated for the small companies were too small. And at that time, we mentioned that those number of cabs will not be able to sustain the company. And 30/30, 70/70, 30/30, I don't know. Probably, in my mind, I'm just suggesting that maybe 35 and 65 might help the smaller companies to remain afloat, if you will. But I think the 30 is too low in my mind. As you know, we have a owner-operator, full 100% owner-operator. And the owner-operators will remain one of the small companies, right? Okay. And the other two large companies, will they be able to function also as an owner-operator?
So Jana, would that be a question? So what we have proposed here is that the owner-operator, sorry, yeah, you can go back one. There you go. So the small company, at least one, must be 100% franchisee or owner-operator, where the large companies, franchisee, owner-operator, joint venture. It's a good question, I think, that we need to address, if the large company can also be an owner-operator, if that's your question, correct?
Yeah, my question is if they are also involved in the same area. But at least we know the contract, present contract, the large companies are just, all vehicles are owned by the company. Whereas as per contract, the owner-operator has to be a 100% owner-operator. The company cannot own a vehicle, which is, that's what we've been doing it, and it's okay with us. I have another question, ladies and gentlemen, and that question is the 10% in the ADA. Since you increased the companies from 3 companies to 4 companies, I think the 5%, I know where you're coming from, with this, and Kelly and us, we understand the issue of the ADA, and sometimes that it's difficult to get ADA vehicles, and, sometimes, not all the time. But the point is this, 5%, 10% of the smaller companies to have, what will that be? 3 cars?
There would be
Yeah.
3.
3
Out of 30.
Yeah, out of 30. That is, that's a little bit too high, I think. 5% for all 4 companies, because you already increased the number of companies, and then you increase it also at the same time, the number of ADA vehicles. I think that will put especially burden on the smaller companies. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Omar.
I have some additional questions that you may have already answered, but just so that they know that they were submitted. One is, so the sum of vehicles required to be at least 85% hybrid or electric, of course.
Yes.
Okay. And then last one is, and we just addressed it, is there a minimum percentage of vehicles that must be wheelchair accessible?
10% of the fleet needs to be wheelchair accessible. That's for whether it's the large or the small, so both.
More. What documentation is required to demonstrate 2 years of small airport experience if we've only provided drop-offs at the airport and have never held a formal contract?
It looks like this is something we might need to follow up a little bit more with the procurement team and some of the others that are involved in the contract, and we can get back to you with that information.
Okay. And can you reiterate what you mean by 10% of ADA vehicles?
So basically, that means if you are answering the solicitation for the large company, you're going to have 70 vehicles, for example, on your fleet, which is what we're proposing. 10% of that would be 7. So you would need to have 7 ADA vehicles on that fleet.
All right, it looks like that's all the questions that we've had online. And unless there's any others in person here in the room, we'll go ahead and get wrapped up. But please remember that if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to us afterwards. And let me go to, I think we have our contact information here at the end where you can reach out to us. Yep. And you had the individual contact information for all of us as well. And this is our business email and contact information, so you can reach out to us for any additional questions, or I encourage you to attend our June session. And then please, once the solicitation post, our pre-offer meeting is very important as well. And that's when you'll have the chance to speak to those procurement officers to ask more of those specific questions about the solicitation phase. With that, I thank you all for attending the meeting today, and don't forget to check back on our website where we'll post all the meeting materials, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.